Right, we're continuing with that coverage of the passing on of the Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu. The presidency releasing a statement this morning confirming his death, and that statement was from Presidency Minister Mondli Gungubele. Now let's get some reaction now to the passing of the Arch. Joining us is Verne, Head of Leadership at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us at this time. I'm sure, you know, a little bit of shock to the passing of the Archbishop, especially during a time when families are supposed to be celebrating being together.
Yes, indeed. Very, very sad news for us. I'm still trying to absorb it. For the Nelson Mandela Foundation family, this is a horrible moment.
Let's talk about, you know, the life and times of the Emeritus. I mean, he was also chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which today some people would say didn't really achieve much. But, you know, we remember some of those moments when he was emotional during the TRC, obviously because of those families finding out how their loved ones passed away, etc. You know, to some extent it did work in terms of giving some families a bit of closure.
Yes, I think this will be a key focal point for discussion about the Arch's legacy. He himself publicly over many years expressed profound anger at the failure of the South African state to implement the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And he argued, and we at the Nelson Mandela Foundation completely agree with this, is that if those recommendations had been implemented in terms of reparations, in terms of prosecutions and so on, is the way we would look at the Truth Commission and the quality of its work would be very different today.
And that's not the only thing that we remember the Archbishop by. I mean, I'm looking at the visuals that were showing on eNCA, for instance. He had a very distinct laugh, didn't he? He was also, you know, very funny, although scathing at the same time about his thoughts on the government of today.
Yes, well, you named two really standout characteristics of the Arch. Enormous courage, stood up to the governing party on any number of issues over the last few decades. Most recently, spoke very robustly and consistently against state capture. But an enormously warm human being and sense of humor. It reminded me personally in my interactions with the Arch very much of Madiba's sense of humor.
But also this reminds us, I mean, he was a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. He's the last one to have been living. And now it just shows us that South Africa, you know, the leaders, the type of leaders of his caliber, at least, that we had in our country, we don't have them anymore.
Yes, I think it's an important observation you make, is that we have seen desperate failures of leadership in our country at every level, you know, right down to school principals and hospital superintendents. The Arch stood out as not only a leader of extraordinary quality, but also as a moral compass for our society. But
there's also other things that the Archbishop did, right? He, as a person who was also very religious, during the time, of course, when he fought, or when he came on as a person who was fighting for gay rights, obviously some in the religious sector probably looked at him some other type of way when he started fighting for gay rights. But of course, like they're explaining even on The Guardian, you know, in the New York Times, etc., they're describing him as a giant in the fight against apartheid in South Africa.
Yes, consistently throughout his life, the Arch has taken on issues of social justice and has seemingly always been a few steps ahead of the rest of us. And, you know, for that very reason, I think the loss is going to be enormous for all of us.
And, any plans from the Nelson Mandela Foundation at the moment, Verne? I know it's quite soon, but I'm pretty sure maybe we'll be getting an invite in terms of coming to the foundation for you to also play your part in celebrating the Archer's life.
Yes, it's hard. Our chief executive is in Mozambique. Difficult to actually connect with him this morning, but he'll be back tomorrow, and we will be putting heads together for sure.